When we last spoke about Nippon India Growth Midcap Fund about 2 years ago, it had undergone a fund manager change in the year before. Rupesh Patel, the current fund manager, had taken over the helm from Manish Gunwani in January 2023. Gunwani was responsible for the fund's turnaround, so it was to be seen if the fund's performance would continue under Patel. In January 2023, the fund's AUM stood at about 13,500 crores. The fund's AUM now stands at a massive 44,000 crore. That's a rise of over 3 times. This makes it the third largest fund in the mid-cap category. Since January 2023, the fund has done mostly better than its benchmark. This suggests that Patel has indeed upheld the fund's credibility. And this deserves a fresh look into the fund. Hello and welcome to ET Money's YouTube channel. Today we will look at the Nippon India Growth Midcap Fund. We will take a look at this fund's performance, how it is managed, and what's responsible for its strong performance. This analysis will help you decide if this fund is worth considering for your portfolio. But before we go forward, a quick update. If you're watching this video, there's a high chance that you have a mutual fund portfolio that you build carefully, selecting the right funds, balancing risk, and remaining disciplined. But risk and underperformance can quietly creep in without you noticing. That's why we built ET Money's Portfolio Health Check. Now you can know if your portfolio is still at 10 on 10 or just a mix that looks like that. We tell you this by analyzing your portfolio on 100 plus parameters and then giving an overall score and how you stand on the 4 pillars. So you see how your portfolio rates on performance, risk, diversification, and your own investing behaviors. So do check it out. Here, we will talk about a variety of return metrics. Each provides a specific perspective, so it's worthwhile talking about each. The simplest return metric to track is the trailing returns. This is the return metric that we normally use in day-to-day casual comparisons. Here, the fund has done better than both the category and the index across 1, 3, and 5 years. Now, the degree of this outperformance ranges from about 300 to 450 basis points over the category and 100 to over 200 basis points over the index. That's quite handsome. The 1 and 3 year periods are the most relevant as far as the current fund manager is concerned, and across both, the fund has performed better. Now, the next return metric is SIP return. This metric is important because many investors invest in equity funds via SIPs, and that's indeed the right approach. The fund's 3 and 5 year SIP returns stand at about 18% and 20% respectively. These outperform the category by about 450 basis points and the index by about 200 to 300 basis points. The 3-year SIP returns are more relevant here as that's the period that coincides with the current fund manager's tenure. Next, let's see the average 3 and 5 year rolling returns. Now, rolling returns are a slightly more sophisticated measure, but they're also more reliable than plain trailing returns. Let me briefly explain why. Now, average rolling returns are computed by averaging all instances of a specific trailing return between 2 dates. So, the average 5-year rolling returns is the average of all 5-year returns between 2 dates. Now, given the enormous data points, they provide a more reliable picture than trailing returns alone. Now, across the both 3 and 5-year rolling returns, the fund is ahead of the category and the benchmark. Over the category, the outperformance is a massive 300 basis points, while over the Nifty Midcap 150 index, it is about 80 basis points. Finally, let's check the annual returns. Annual returns are important as they help judge the consistency of performance. Now, over the last 8 calendar years, the fund outperformed both the category and the index in 4 of those years. Of the remaining 4 years, it ranked second in 3 of them. Now, this suggests consistently good performance versus the benchmark and the category, including during the tenure of the current fund manager. Overall, across all return metrics, the fund does a good job. But returns are only half the picture. To make full sense of performance, let's also check the fund's risk profile. The first metric here is volatility of returns. Now, we discussed the rolling return of the fund, the category, and index in the previous section. Let's now check the volatility of those returns. Now, to measure volatility, we use the standard deviation. The higher the standard deviation, the higher the volatility. Now, in terms of standard deviation, at over 6, the fund is more volatile than the category, but less volatile than the index. The next metric is downside protection. Here, let's check how the fund performed in the quarters when the Nifty Midcap 150 TRI gave negative returns. Of the 9 such quarters in January 2018, the fund outperformed both the category and the index in 6 of them. Even in the remaining 3 quarters, it did better than the benchmark. Now that suggests good downside protection. Now, under the current fund manager since January 2023, the fund has not lost track and has maintained its cushion well. So overall, while the fund is more volatile than its peers, this volatility doesn't automatically translate into deeper losses. Alright, now let's understand how the fund is managed and what's responsible for its good performance. But before that, do subscribe to this channel if you aren't already a subscriber, and do press the bell icon so you never miss a video from us. First, let's check the fund's historical market cap allocation versus the category average. The fund has maintained a higher weight to large caps than the category. Its allocation to small caps and others, which are primarily cash and cash equivalents, are lower than the categories. Now, how might this aid the fund's performance? Aversion to cash calls can improve performance but also increases volatility. To mitigate this effect, the fund may prefer higher allocation to large caps. Now, this can help explain why the fund is more volatile than its peers but still manages to better contain downside risk. Notably, this preference of large caps and avoidance of cash has gained prominence since the current fund manager, Rupesh Patel, started managing the fund in January 2023. Now, the another way the fund appears to manage its volatility is by diversifying its portfolio across a higher number of stocks versus the category. The fund has historically invested in 80 to 100 stocks compared to 50 to 70 at the category level. The number of stocks held has risen further since Rupesh took over the fund in January 2023. However, in spite of this, as we saw, the fund has higher volatility than peers, and the 150 stock Nifty Midcap 150 TRI is actually the most volatile. So the number of stocks alone seem to have a limited role in controlling volatility. Alright, now let's check the fund's performance turnover ratio and compare it with the peer average. The portfolio turnover ratio tells us how much a portfolio is churned in a year. A ratio of 100% means that the whole portfolio has been changed. A high turnover ratio suggests a tactical or momentum-driven investment approach, while a lower turnover ratio is indicative of a buy and hold approach. Now, based on our half-yearly data points through February 2023, the fund's portfolio turnover ratio has been higher than the categories. But after that, it started dropping and came into the single digits. This phase coincides with the tenure of the current fund manager. So, clearly the fund shifted from high tactical momentum-driven approach to a buy and hold approach. But thankfully, the shift in this approach didn't affect the fund's performance, and at the investor's end, it would have largely gone unnoticed. Now, this buy and hold approach also helps boost returns by cutting trading costs, and this has likely worked well in the fund in the background. All of the fund's current 10 holdings have remained in the portfolio over the years. Most of these stocks have done quite well compared to the Nifty Midcap 150. The notable outperformers are BSC, Fortis Healthcare, Ashok Leyland, Federal Bank, Power Finance, and so on. Now, it's also likely that due to fund's buy and hold approach, these holdings have gained weight over the years rather than due to stock picking. Now, the fund manager's decision to allow this steady build-up seems to have paid well and aided in alpha generation. If we compare the fund's top 10 holdings with those of the top 5 peers by AUM, as many as 5 stocks don't appear in the peers' top bets. That suggests some offbeat stock moves. Of these 5, BSC, Power Finance, and Ashok Leyland have specifically done well and have likely provided the fund an edge over its peers. Now, among these sectors, the fund seems to take a conviction-based approach. Its allocation to top 5 sectors have mostly remained heavier than the category average. So, while the fund prefers to be more diversified at the stock level, it is more concentrated at the sectoral level. And not just this, the fund's sector choices frequently deviate from that of the category. For example, consider the fund's last 4 6-monthly sectoral allocations versus the category. In August 2024, with about 14% allocation, the finance sector was the fund's top choice. At the category level, the finance sector had an allocation of about 9%. In February 2025, when the category had an average exposure of over 10% to IT, the fund had about 7% in it. In August 2025, banks constituted about 7% of the fund, but they were not among the top 5 sectors at the category level. Another observation from this sample is the steadiness of sector allocation. The same sectors, finance, auto, healthcare, bank, IT appear as top sectors consistently, suggesting a conviction-based buy and hold approach. In fact, the finance sector has been the fund's favorite for several years. Now, while the top sector kept rotating at the category level, the fund didn't lose patience with it, whether it was the current or the previous fund manager. Okay, let's summarize the findings of this video in the concluding section. Nippon India Growth Midcap Fund is among the largest funds by AUM in the category. While the fund witnessed a fund manager change in January 2023, that doesn't seem to have affected its performance. The fund has been consistently ahead of the category and the benchmark across time periods and metrics. However, the fund is more volatile than its peers, but thankfully this volatility doesn't result in deep drawdowns. Now, under its current fund manager Rupesh Patel, the fund has followed the classic buy and hold approach. It consciously avoids cash calls and doesn't mind remaining invested all the times. To control its volatility, it invests a greater share in large caps as compared to the category and a smaller share in small caps. While the fund is more diversified than peers at the stock level, at the sectoral level, it does show higher concentration and hence conviction. The fund's buy and hold approach is evident in its sectoral calls too, and the fund doesn't mind deviating from the category in terms of its sectoral exposures. Overall, this is a fund that follows a classic investing approach and leverages the power of patience to deliver returns. And with this, I have come to end of this video. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please share it with your friends and family. I'll be back soon with another video. Till then, take care.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents.